Hello, welcome to Song and Story Time. You can text the number on this screen, which is 260-593-1983 to let us know that you're here, and we will give you a shout out. It's kind of fun for us to know who all is tuning in for this, and it's kind of nice for all of you too. This is one of those ways that we know that we're not alone right now, right? There's a question of the week, too, and we'll see if any of you want to answer this for us today. The question is, have you cried out to God this week? And crying out to God can be all kinds of different things. I remember when Zeph was little one time, he fell down, and he got back up, and he said, "Where are you, God?" And I thought that is the greatest example of how we feel when those little things happen to us. And then sometimes we cry out to God with big things too. So have you cried out to God this week? Maybe you want to tell us what happened or what feeling made you want to cry out to God. Sometimes we cry out in joy and sometimes in pain. All kinds of things make us want to cry out to God. But first, while you're thinking of those and typing those in and texting me that you're here, it is sing-along time with Matthew and Hannah. So here we go. Enjoy.
Welcome to another, and mothers and fathers, pardon me. Welcome to another start of a Sunday school class, and we're so happy to have you there. We're happy to have Hannah with her drums and her arm for leading. And today, our songs are going to be about, overcoming fear. And I know that all of us have sometimes fear in our lives where we get a little scared about things. And so all of our songs today have to do with overcoming fear and trusting God, that God will keep us safe. And we're going to start out with a rousing song first, called "Whom Shall I Fear? The Lord is My Light." Here we go. The Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I fear? In the time of trouble, He will hide me. Oh, in the time of trouble, He will hide me. Oh, in the time of trouble, He will hide me. Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? No one. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I fear? Yes, whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I fear? Woo, nice job. Another one's a pretty lively one too. And this song comes to us from many, many years ago. It is a spiritual that came to us from early times in maybe 150 years ago, 200 years ago. And it has to do with two different stories in the Bible. One is a story about Mary, who is worried about her brother Lazarus, who has died. And the other is the story from the Old Testament about God being with the Israelites as they fled away from Egypt and from bondage in Egypt. Need a capo here, sorry. And it's called, "Oh Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn." That when we're in times of trouble, we can count on God to stand with us. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. If I could, I surely would stand on the rock where Moses stood. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. God told Moses what to do to lead the Hebrew children through. Oh, Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. One more time. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Oh, Mary, don't you weep, don't you mourn. Pharaoh's army got drowned. Oh, Mary, don't you weep. Woo! Thank you. And for our quiet song today, we have another one about not being afraid. We used to sing this a lot. And I remember some of the children that we sang with told me after we sang this song that this was one they liked to sing sometimes at night to themselves if they ever got to into a situation where they started to feel nervous about something or afraid of something, that this song helped them to remember to not be afraid. Oh, I'm sorry. This is going to be a leading song. Oh boy, right? Okay, you ready? Don't be afraid. My love is stronger. My love is stronger than your fear. Don't be afraid. My love is stronger, and I have promised to be always near. Sorry, that song sometimes makes me sad when I'm singing it, and I think it's sad in sort of a happy way. Don't be afraid. My love is stronger, My love is stronger than your fear. Don't be afraid. My love is stronger, and I have promised to be always near.
Oh, I love that song. It reminds me a little bit of something David talked about in his sermon today, where God says, I am who I am. And God in that passage also says, I will be with you. God is always near. God has made that promise to us. What a helpful thing and a powerful thing to remember. Well, I've gotten texts that Rose is watching and that Jamie is here. Hi, Jamie. And the Miller-Lehman house is here. So that includes Sophia and Ryan and Brooklyn, plus everybody else who lives in that household. We're so glad all of you are tuning in. And remember, if you want to shout out, just text 1983. And I think that's on your screen again. So just text that number. I'm getting a yes from Brooks. It is on your screen. So text us and let us know that you're here joining us. Well, this year, just to remind everyone, we are learning the whole big story of the Bible. Do you remember why? Why do we want to learn that whole big story? Well, when we know the scope of the story, kind of the overall story of the Bible, then we know how the little stories fit in, and they make more sense. And when we know that whole story, then we can take our places in the story. So let's start by reviewing the big story. And Malachi, you've got a mic there. You can chime in with some of these things too. And you all are probably getting to know this big story pretty well, so you can say it along with me sometimes if you want. Yep. So God created the whole world, and it was good. Adam and Eve and all of humanity missed the mark, but God stuck with them. Then God called a family to be a blessing to who? The whole earth. That's right. First, Abraham and Sarah said yes to God, and then came Isaac and Ishmael and Jacob and Esau and Rachel and Leah and Joseph and his 11 brothers. All of these siblings, and all of them had conflict, and they all missed the mark, but God stuck with them. These generations all wrestled with the blessing. Were they going to choose to be the blessing or to take it? And at the end of the Joseph story, the descendants of Jacob were in, remember where? Where did they end up?
Egypt.
Egypt. And where in Egypt?
Goshen.
Goshen. They were in Goshen in the land of Egypt. And a few generations passed, and like Sarah said this morning in children's time, a new Pharaoh came to power, and that Pharaoh didn't know the story of Joseph. So this got forgotten, and he put the Hebrew people in slavery. Well, the people cried out to God, and God answered. And this week's stories are all about God's great acts of deliverance. So let's sing the first song for today. Ready? God's family grows, Egypt oppressed as they groan to God. And God sends Moses who asks, why me? And what's your name? I'll be with you, I am who I am.
Well, God heard these people, and God appeared to Moses. David talked through this story a lot in his sermon. And God got Moses' attention in a unique way. How was that, Malachi?
God came to Moses on the top of Mount Horeb, and he came in the shape of a burning bush. but the bush wasn't consumed by the flames.
Yeah, that has always kind of perplexed me. A burning bush that just doesn't burn up. It's full of flames, but it doesn't burn up. Yeah, so God got Moses' attention, and Moses and God had this conversation. God invited Moses to take his shoes off because, do you remember that part of the story?
It was holy,
yeah.
Yeah,
holy
holy
ground.
Where he was at was holy ground. And God told Moses, I am who I am. When Moses asked, who are you? When everybody else asked, who is this God, this burning bush God? God says, nope, you can call me Yahweh, or you can call me Yahweh. This means breath. It means I will be with you. I am who I am. So, when the people cry out, God responds to the people by sending Moses. And as you all read this story this week, as you dig deeper into it, I invite you to look back in your own lives and think of some of the ways that God has responded to you when you cried out for help. Then we get to the next big story. Let's sing it.
Moses meets with Egypt's leader. 10 strange signs say, please release them. God's people leave, and the troops chase them. By the sea, God saves them.
So God sends these 10 signs and wonders. 10 strange signs say, please release them. Those aren't to scare the people or even to scare Pharaoh. Those are so that everyone will know that God is God, that God is the most powerful one. And the Hebrew people and the Egyptians all have to come to know that God is powerful. So it's not just so that Pharaoh will know. It's so that the Israelites will know. Well, at our house, when we looked at this, we mapped out this story. And let's have Daniel hold it up so Malachi can tell you a little bit about this map. What do you want to tell him?
So the Israelites were in the land of Goshen in Ramses.
What's this over here?
Oh, yeah. This is Memphis.
No, the river.
Oh, wait, sorry, yeah, the Nile River, which turned to blood as the first sign or wonder. And then when the Israelites escaped, they either came here to Migdol to cross the Red Sea, or they came down to here to cross the Red Sea.
Because we don't know, do we?
Yeah, we don't know, although there have been chariot wheels found in there. And then Mount Sinai, or Mount Horeb, is either here or here. And again, it depends on which river they crossed.
And how did God lead them? How did these people know where to go?
God came in the shape of a pillar of cloud in the day and a pillar of fire at night.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a pretty familiar story, and we can kind of get used to it. And maybe we forget what a big deal it is. And so doing something different with it, for us, it was mapping it. For your family, it may be something else, can kind of help us explore it and realize what a miraculous and strange story this is.
So this week there are two big stories to explore. God calling Moses, and with the help of his brother Aaron, going to Pharaoh, and God showing God's self to all of Egypt and all of the world, and the people leaving. I invite you to dig into these stories some more. These are huge identity stories for the people of God. So explore them, act them out, get into them in different ways, whether that's map making or, I don't know, making up another plague, I don't know, or dreaming what those might be for us today. Find all kinds of ways to get creative with these two big stories this week.
And speaking of these being identifying stories, there was one part of the story that kind of struck our family last night. The word that is used for the people who escaped is Habiru. Can you guess what we translate that into in our Bible, how we say that?
Riffraff.
Yes, he listened well and is jumping ahead.
He did listen well. Hebrew is what it says in the Bible, but the modern day translation for what it really means, what that word really means, is
Riffraff.
riffraff. That's according to this one Hebrew scholar who kind of says, we really need a modern day equivalent so we know what this is. So riffraff is kind of, it's just kind of a messy word. And it means kind of an odd collection of people. And not necessarily like the highest up in society, it's the riffraff. But knowing that the riffraff are the people that God saved, that God brought out of Egypt. And you know, our family sometimes feels a little messy. Our family sometimes doesn't do exactly what we expected it to do. Today, Zeph is up in the balcony instead of down here with us because that's what he wanted to do today. So sometimes unexpected things happen in our family, and I'm guessing that happens in your family as well. Mm-hmm. So these stories kind of remind us that our identifying stories of who we are in God allow us to be a little bit messy sometimes. That's okay. Let's look at who's here. So we have, all right, the Yoders. Hello, welcome. And Hannah Lind, hello. I'm glad you enjoyed the story today. Dwight is here. Hi, Dwight. Good to have you. And Jake and Liza and Lydia, hello again. I'm glad you're here again this week. And we have Dakota and Briggs and Adam. Hi, I'm glad your family is joining. And Kiara and Krista and Jonathan, I'm glad to know that you're with us too. And I do want to say really quickly, this beautiful artwork behind me, thank you to Krista for putting in tons of time this week to install that. And the Ruel family tells us we cried out to God that there wouldn't be a hurricane or a tornado this week. Yep. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we cry out to God with requests like that, don't we? Yep. Well, I'm so glad all of you are with us. And we are going to end today with singing the big song. But before we do that, I want to give you a quick reminder that you can come to church today at 4 o'clock. And you can bring
a little before.
Or a little before. You might want to come a little bit before so your family or your bubble, whoever it is that you're doing these activities with, can get a spot in the parking lot. And we're going to play some games, and some of those are based on This Is the Story. Yep. So I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Yep.
All right, ready?
Yes.
This is the story of how it all began. God made matter and chaos shattered. Eve and Adam, they tried to hide. The world got violent and God replied with a mark and a flood and a rainbow sign. God's love written on skin and sky. Then God called a family to be a blessing to the earth. A mother and her favorite son wrestle for the blessing. Another son becomes a slave. The land is safe from famine. God's family grows. Egypt oppresses, they groan to God. And God sends Moses 10 strange signs, say, please release them. By the sea, God saves them. God loves every one of us, it's true. And God loves the universe.
Have a good week.
See you next week. Or this afternoon.
Yeah.